Scott Shuttleman Phillips is he's a wallflower. He's a very shy guy.
Oh, yeah.
And to bring him out is going to be very difficult. You spent 30 plus years playing around shuttle parts. And in fact, your book, Remove Before Flight, which is the ribbon you take out on your way out of the big tank.
You got it.
You spent a few years doing that as well, and you wrote a book about it.
Sure did. In fact, of course, to recap, I was the last man out of STS-1 in 1981. I was 22 years old and had an opportunity to pull that ribbon before Bob Crimmins and John Young launched on the maiden flight. And so I became known as Shuttleman. And so I took that with my woodworking and, of course, became known for my shuttle models. And I did over 450 space shuttle models for the crews during that 30-year period of time.
And presented them to them.
I did. In fact, John Glenn, when he flew in 98, and he got his, and of course he signed some, and Eileen Collins and Mae Jemison and some of those folks. Of course, they're retired now. And so I got some of them that I kept myself that I take on the road with the book to inspire the young folks. Mm-hmm. And people come up and ask about, the history of the shuttle, because it is history to this next generation.
I've my son-in-law is just into wood like nobody's business.
Yeah, I've seen some of his work.
And he's doing all kinds of fun stuff.
I'm impressed, yeah.
But these shuttles were how many different kinds of wood?
I put different woods over a 30-year period of time. I started out with 2, and then 4, then 6, then 8, and so when I got down to the final shuttles, and the last part of the program was up to 20 different species of woods.
Wow!
Yeah,
in
one shuttle model.
Wow!
And Eileen Collins, of course, was the first shuttle female commander. She deemed me a sort of a one orbit type of guy. She said, we don't see borders in outer space, in low Earth orbit. We don't see water. But when we come back, we see your models made of, from wood from North America, South America, Africa, and all around. She says it really represents one orbit to us. So
wow.
She deemed me an artist. And I was a woodchuck or a woodworker, like Scotty used to call me a woodchuck. But wood, yeah, I heard you coming, yeah. But
I can remember that animated character. I cannot for the life of me.
Yeah, but so anyhow, that kind of kicked off my love for the woods. And I actually carved my mother's broomsticks when I was a kid, so I really had an affinity for the love of wood. And it wasn't a real party starter when I was out meeting women, talk about what are you into? I said, well, I'm into wood. It's sort of like they'd be clicking they'd be like, see you later, alligator. But I stayed true with my passion, and I developed that. And, of course, today we're going to be talking about something that's very new to the woodworking world.
And you kind of, we'll finish the segment with this.
Yeah.
Spalted spirits.
Yes.
This is a natural occurrence.
Yeah, absolutely.
In wood.
It is.
That you discovered and started playing with, and have come up with some interesting, this is it's been out there, I guess, forever.
Well,
right?
I can't say that I actually invented it. I can say that I actually, during a health issue with me this year, I turned 58 this year, and I'll soon be 59 here in February. But in February of 17, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. And so the suggestion, of course, obviously from my doctor, was to remove my thyroid, which required stay in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And so my wife, Diane, which I love, she takes good care of me. She said, well, I'll pick you up the next day, and so I was by myself, and I was sedated and had a drain tube on one side, and got to thinking, I said, hey, I've never really had anything taken out of me before. I've had things repaired, mm-hmm. back surgery, things like that, but never something taken out. Mm-hmm. So I was philosophical, and in the middle of the night, and I'm not going to say it was a religious experience, but it was a in-the-bones type of experience. And I think my 50 years really of love of wood was on my mind. It's my passion, and so I kind of plugged my mind in that realm, not thinking about my car or thinking about my illness or whatever, but it's thinking about, the passion that I have is that wood. And when I woke up the next morning, I had in my bones the words, and this is, here again, you can take it for what it is, but the words were, in order to receive the fulfillment you desire, you must You must create something universally acceptable. Well, I told Diane that in the morning. She goes, what does that mean? And I said, well, I'm not sure, but I think I'm in for it. So a couple weeks later, in my recovery, I'm out at a wood hunt in East Limestone County.
So you're out looking for wood all the time.
Well, I do yearly. I go out and I look for logs and things like that because it takes a while to dry things up. Mm-hmm. And then I can, take them to the mill and have them cut. So I was out on my wood hunt and came across something very, very, very special. And so that's what, of course, we know today as spalted spirits.
So you cut into this stuff, and it's like it jumps out at you.
Oh yeah.
We'll talk about the spalted spirits, and then anyway, each one is unique. I'm sitting here staring at these, and it's not creepy; it's eerie, actually.
There you go.
Eerie in a positive way.
Great.
More with Scott Shuttleman Phillips just ahead. Shuttleman Phillips joining us, and you could go, I can't remember if we have anything on our Facebook page. We usually do a little something promoting this kind of stuff. But if people want to, as we get into this spalted spirits thing, people can go, if they want to see what we're talking about, you've got a website with a whole bunch of it on there. So where do people go?
Right. Yeah, here again, we're tying the book and, of course, the shuttle models and some of the other art that we do. So it's really going to be under www.removebeforeflightbook.com. So we put all that together because, it's a thing you can actually purchase these also as wall hangings or ornaments. So they're truly unique. Yeah, I cannot find one that's identical. I even cut into the same log right beside each piece, and each piece has a different genre. And I even find in wood piles, I've gone other places, and I might find a genre that's totally animals. I find a genre that's totally, I would say, alien. And I would find genres that would have a religious theme to it. It's funny.
So these are, so you're walking in the woods and you discover this log, right?
Right. Well, I have a friend that actually has a big wood pile, and as I was out on my wood hunt, something came over me, and I said, I'm actually looking for some spalted wood, or the beginning death of the wood where the fungi takes over when a tree is fell. When they cut a tree, it falls, and then the moisture in the tree is food for the ground fungus. And the fungus around Alabama is called turkey tail. And it's very...
So there's a name for it?
Yeah, there is. In fact, it's really sort of a genre of fungus that is prevalent in North Alabama that actually gives these black types lines through the wood. And I usually go with the maples or dogwood or some light wood for the contrasting element. And so turkey tail is the black fungus. And so as the tree is buried and it's kept moist in one element, and in other words from the sun, not to dry out too fast, as it dries, the fungus retards. And as the fungus slows down, it leaves a black mark behind it. And then as the tree is completely dry over maybe a 2.5 year period of time, it stops. And then there's no more rotting process. It rots a little bit more, but it slows the design down. And then at that point in time, the tree is seasoned to where, the moisture's out of it, and but it left a 2-year trail behind it. So I'm actually capturing Mother Nature's hand signature because the trail has stopped, but I capture that 2-year trail.
So this has sent you out looking for this all over the place.
Yeah, it's everywhere. In fact, we have a funny thing when the boys are in the car with me, and we'll say, oh, there's a log right there. We had a roadside stop where somebody had dropped a log, and it looked like it had the turkey tail on it. I recognized the fungus, and we took it home, and it was dry, and I actually made some spalted spirits, was totally a different genre. It had some blue and red in it, and it was really stunning. So it was just something on the road I got for free for nothing.
So for people who, like my son-in-law likes to do the mirrored stuff,
right?
But that's plank wood, right?
That's right.
This you're basically doing circles down the tree, right?
Right. Those are called flitches. So if you see a tree standing, you just flitch it like a hot dog. So picture a hot dog standing up, and you're just slicing the circles, like I say, all the way down.
Slicing it into beanie weenies.
Right,
basically.
and those are called flitches. And then within that flitch, there is, and it's hidden, but there is a mirror image to the side. If it's spalted and you look at it, it's just it doesn't have any organization to it initially. But then when I cut it several different angles, I find the mirror image, and then I place those two mirror images together, and it makes it as one piece, and then these spirits jump out.
So there's a little trial and error.
Oh yeah,
so you had a lot of them. You just cut in, and you go cut the wrong place.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd say for every one, maybe I cut into that's actually a real what I call a keeper. And in our family, we call them the keepers. And I'll say maybe I throw 4 or 5 away in order to get a real keeper, because maybe I'll sand it down too far and I lose the eyes, or because it's like a film being developed. If I go too deep or I sand too deep, then the figure starts to dissipate. Because
so when you started doing this, because you felt like you were led to do this.
Well,
these are jumping out at you, and you're going, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is, I think it was kind of funny because the first log I cut into, the figure that came out was a Christ-like figure. It actually had wings. And in fact, I kept that. That's in a safety deposit box because it's so perfect. I didn't want to mess it up or lose it. And so we decided, Diane is so smart. She came up with an idea. She said, Scott, why don't you go ahead and scan these all in the computer? That way, later we can make T-shirts, bags, things like that to embellish. But my son, Tyler's so smart. He said, hey, Dad, let me embellish some spirits on my wooden boards that I make for cheese boards, bread boards. He's made a couple benches that have these spirits in it. And so it separates us from the other people that are making these utensils and things like that, like Tyler makes. And he actually embeds spirits in the actual items.
So what's the response been like?
Oh, it's been, here again, I unveiled it in Ohio, at the largest wood show in Ohio called Artistry in Wood, and that was this summer. And of course, the family went up, and we unveiled it for the first time. Now, these are world-class wood carvers. They outstrip me by years. I mean, these guys have been carving for many years. Mm-hmm. And they came up to my booth, and they said, we've worked with spalted wood before, but we've never seen it like this. How are you doing this? Well, we had something unusual happen. A lady came up and she passed out in front of my booth. And we, of course, picked her up. I said, well, my God, what's the matter? She said, here again, I'm not a minister and I do believe in a higher power. But she said, have you read Ezekiel chapter 37? I said, no. I'm not familiar, but I know Ezekiel, of course, is a prophet, and he was an end-time prophet. And so that piqued my interest in what it was. So she pulled her Bible out. She had it out in her car. She brought it in, and it said, a man will bring 2 pieces of wood together as if it was one to show that I am the sovereign Lord. He is the same, but different. At that point in time, there's something that clicked into my mind that what it was, and I'm going to be honest with you and with your audience, that I was actually, when I was in the hospital, I feared death. I thought at my age, at 57 with cancer, that possibly I might be on the end of my life. And so I think somebody or something told me that, Scott, there's still beauty in death. And not to be creepy or anything like that, I think somebody spoke to me to say that don't fear it, because there is beauty even in the woods that you would throw in a fireplace, or, your wife wouldn't let you bring in because it has all the maggots and the dirt and the stuff in it. But yet there's still beauty to be garnered from wood that we throw away. And that's where spalted spirits really spoke to me in a religious connotation. And here again, I'm not a minister and I'm not proselytizing people, but that's the gift I've been given, and it's forever.
So us regular folks, we're just walking through the woods.
You got that right.
We're going to step right over this stuff.
That's right. You don't even see it. And you don't see it in the log form. You have to know the fungi by the spores, and it does, and why it's called turkey tail. The spores, to really educate your audience, is when you're out in the woods and you see something that looks like a turkey tail, that's a turkey tail fungi that's on the wood bark itself, that's an indicator. That
there might be something really special inside.
Right.
Wow. So he has created these, and then you found out if you shine red light on this,
right,
it gets three-dimensional.
Yeah, and that was by accident because I put lights on my shuttle models at these shows, to spark it up, and then it bled over into it, and the spirit jumped out.
We're gonna try this a little bit. And you'll have to go to, you explain this on your website, too.
Yes.
More with Scott Shuttleman Phillips. We'll tell you how to find this stuff as well if you want to take a look. Just ahead on the Fred Holland Morning Show. Scott Shuttleman Phillips joining us. He's the guy that built the shuttles. We've talked about the wooden shuttles that he's given to all the various crews of all the various shuttles over the years. How many total?
I did 450.
Wow.
And that, of course, was including with John Glenn and of course, Eileen Collins and Mae Jemison and Brian Duffy and some of those folks. And in fact, Mike Griffin, the NASA administrator, has one of my models in his office here in Huntsville, I think at Schaefer's. But he's going on to Washington. He's going to be working for the Trump administration, so he'll be moving on uptown.
And Lightfoot is...
And Lightfoot, of course, has one in his office. Yeah. So, I'm
spalted spirits, and you take out it's salted and you add a P, right?
Yeah, there you go.
But everybody calls them different things,
right? But spalted is, of course, the beginning, process of the marbleization of the fungi.
Dendrology, is that how you say
Dendrology, that's right.
Is the study of hardwoods.
That's right.
I knew there'd be a name for it.
Yeah, there you go.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a real chick magnet, I'll tell you, when you're into
what do you do? I'm into dendrology.
They look at you like with cross. That explains why I didn't get married until I was 35. But I met my dream wife that's is actually driving my son to Drake today. And Tyler is my welder. Actually, he has a state grant to become a welder, and he's a junior in high school. And I'm very, very, very proud of him. He gets up every week to get up for his classes at Drake, and he's there all day, and he does TIG and MIG, and so I'm very proud of him. And with the industry that's coming in to Huntsville with the new plant that's coming in, and maybe I can get him to make some friction stirs tanks for the SLS program in the future. So, Tyler, I'm very proud of you, and I'll see you tonight at supper.
Welding, one of those lost arts to some degree, one of those areas.
He loves to work with his hands. And
you'll learn how to do that stuff. You can do well.
Yeah, and he also does the woodworking, too. So he's caught on to spalted spirits, too, to embellish.
All right, so you could spalted spirits. You can find on Facebook.
Yeah,
if you want to look at some of this stuff.
Yeah, you can do that, right.
And you can also go to removebeforeflightbook.com, and you'll see. Now, you've put these on T-shirts.
Yeah.
You've taken pictures of these and
right. Well, I actually scan them. Some pieces are small enough that I put on a scanner, and we scan them in, and I'll take some portrait pictures of the larger ones. But we want to, once we give them away, or once somebody purchases it or whatever, we lose it. And we fall in love with the design. In fact, I had one that was sort of what we call the mustache man. And we had that in our quiver. And a lady just bought it last week, and we kind of had a sad goodbye. But I have a picture of it. And so that's something we can implement on a T-shirt or a bag or something in the future and put a saying to it. So we have one T-shirt out, 2 T-shirts out now. One's Defender of the Galaxy, and it's really cool.
It is cool. It does. It looks like
it's an alien.
What kind of space creature it would be.
It's sort of like Groot.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Groot in the movie. So it has a Groot look to it. People call it Groot, and
almost looks like E.T. with a bigger forehead.
Well, it does, but
So you're walking in the woods. And you discover this, and now it's like, it's interesting because I had a friend who used to do Civil War artifacts.
Oh, yeah.
And
Bob Sackheim, right?
And he would walk out here, and he would go, you see a field? I go, yeah. He said, well, I see there used to be a bunker right there, because just the way the earth,
topography of whatever would be, sure.
And he would go, he said, I bet you in 10 minutes I'll find something.
Isn't that amazing?
He'd go find buttons and coins and all kinds of stuff. How are you doing this?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing, right?
It is.
You see a log differently than everybody else does, because you see this mold or fungus coming up out of it.
That's right.
And you know that there's some treasure inside.
That's right.
And then you start cutting this, and out of a typical log, you can get a lot of different forms.
Absolutely.
Right?
In fact, I have about 300 board foot, which is quite a bit, and I figure I probably have enough to last me to make maybe 1,000 to 1,500 of these spirits. With the fact that I can throw some of them away because some of them, are dissipated. I do it wrong, but it is an art to bring it together, to make it as one, and then of course to find a finish. Now the finishing is very complex, and that's where I really come in, because I've finished my shuttle models through the years. I figured out how to do raw wood, and now anybody that's a woodworker knows end grain is near to impossible to finish. So I've found a technique to not only bond the woods together seamlessly, but then to put an actual finish on them to where they really highlight the spirits.
Now, when you say in grain, you're looking down through the wood.
That's right. So the fibers...
that makes it more difficult to work with,
right? The fibers are up. In other words, it's like a rug. How you walk like a shag carpet or whatever. Just picture that shag carpet as a piece of wood. It's the fibers that are up. And, of course, you have to sand those down or burnish that. But if I do it too far down, the figure dissipates.
You lose the image.
I lose the image.
So
it's
you
like
got to
a
be
film.
real careful.
Yeah, so I have to be real careful. So I've really developed a process. Here again, I didn't invent it. I'm sure it's been around for thousands of years or whatever, that some prehistoric person discovered. But with the modern equipment I have today, I can make these pretty fast. And here again, they're very unique. Each person sees something different in them.
And back to the show in Ohio where the woman fainted.
Yeah.
Have you seen? She brought her Bible back in and read Ezekiel.
She saw the religious element. That a man will bring two pieces of wood as if it were one.
So you've discovered something showing this. You said out of 100 people, some will go, "Ooh, this is creepy. I don't want anything to do with it," and then other people are drawn to it.
Right. It's very interesting. In fact, the first time I unveiled it, Diane wasn't with me. It was just Tyler and I had a feeling about 10% of the people, I'd say out of 100 people that walked by, 10% gravitated instantly. They saw images and they came up and they were fascinated. Then they read about it and then they bought something. About 20% came up and said, "How you doing this?" In other words, they were wanting to emulate. They want to copy me. About 70 people, unfortunately, it's true in most businesses or any kind of music business or whatever, 70% of the people are usually comparers or takers. In other words, they're at the height of their game and they're not interested. And so they really miss out on God's gift. And I look at them as a gift from, because it is Mother Nature's hand signature. They bought a $10 ticket to get in the place, and yet they walk right by because they don't understand it possibly. And so maybe it's better for me to start articulating it better. But 10% of people,
about
30% together really turn them on. About 70% are afraid of it. Yeah.
If you stare at this long enough, you keep seeing other stuff you didn't see before.
That's the.
I mean, it's infinite,
right? And I actually put hangers on the back of the larger ones. I've got some that are about 20 inches in diameter, and I put hangers, but I actually put a hanger on the top and bottom so you can actually switch it out. So if you're bored with one over a month's period of time, you just turn it upside down, and it's totally another piece of art.
You know what else I see this? Some people squeeze these little balls for stress relief.
Yeah, I have one in the car. Yeah.
You stare at this long enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it would calm you down.
Yeah. In fact, I had a lady that came up and said she had an attention deficit, and her husband said she's just terrible. She just doesn't keep her mind on anything. She said, but these really I can focus on. And he said, I can't believe it, but they bought one and said that she enjoys it because she can actually focus on that.
And it helps her focus after she's...
Wow. Yeah, so it has I'm not making any therapeutic claim, but it is an art that,
don't
Da Vinci...
practice in medicine, we'll all get in trouble.
Yeah, right. I won't be doing that, but it is a calming effect.
Spalted Spirits. You can find that on Facebook, Spalted Spirits. Or you can go to removebeforeflightbook.com if you want to look at this. And he's also got the ones that he created on T-shirts, so they live on forever. How about that?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Till the T-shirt wears out.
There you go. Yeah, we just get you another one.
So it's this thing in wood that has to do with fungus, and Scott Shuttleman Phillips discovered this walking through the woods, and you were on a mission at the time.
Yep.
For something. You didn't know what.
You didn't know.
And then you discovered this, and out of it comes Spalted Spirits. I'm looking at these, and you showed me this. Now I'm looking at this one. It looks like a donkey.
It doesn't look like a camel, right? It looks like a donkey. Oh, boy.
Like a donkey at the ears.
Yeah.
And you showed me one earlier. It looked like, a
little bunny
rabbit with a goatee and buck teeth.
Yeah.
So, but that's the point, right? You can see so many different things.
That's right.
And these are again, you're cutting vertical. You're not with wood, normal woodwork. You're doing planks. You're using the wood up and down.
I'm using flitches, right? What they call flitches.
This is going horizontally and getting these incredible images.
Yeah.
All right. So while we have time in this segment, you're going to do the thing for me. We're going to turn the light off.
We're going to turn the light off, and you're going to see a three-dimensional come out in this one. Stand by.
I think I've seen this. I think you showed me this one time before, and I think I freaked out on it. And then, oh, wow. That's bizarre. That's just bizarre. That's weird.
In a good way.
In a good way. Yeah. It does. So these things are really fascinating. The way they kind of jump off the surface. It's just weird. It's just bizarre.
Here's your bucktooth.
There's my bucktooth rabbit, and he's come to life. Oh, Lord. You can see this at Spalted Spirits on Facebook, and also now it's something else.
Yeah.
The other way around, it looks like an antelope or something.
Yeah. Flip it. Yeah, flip it. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. It's, an ox or an antelope or something with little ears.
But this was strictly, this was actually by accident because I had lights on my shuttles, and it spilled over into it, and Diane said, whoa. And I aimed it over toward it, and that's where we discovered it was totally by accident.
So these are truly, you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, you know you're going to get something.
Right. As a woodcraft.
You don't know what the image is going to be until you actually make the cut.
And that's the exciting part about it is a lot of people, it takes me about 50 to 70 hours to make one of my shuttles, and I have a lot of preparation. These I can make, and they're infinite. I've been given a gift that woodcrafters would thoroughly enjoy because it's forever. Yeah.
The easy way to do it, Spalted Spirits on Facebook, and you can look at these, and it's a unique art experience.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, here again, it's something I want to share.
I haven't seen Greenberg in any of these, but I'll keep looking. Yeah. Or it's Green Balm. But I say Greenberg? Well, Berg, Bong. Mom, whatever. Yeah. Okay, so I got that one wrong. It's the only thing I've gotten wrong all day. You know this.
Well, you waited to the last segment.
Well, of course I did.
Well, he's probably asleep after a big performance last night anyway, so he didn't hear you.
Is Norman still performing?
I don't even know. But
I don't even know if he's still with us.
I just made that up.
So anyway, we're joined by Scott Shuttleman Phillips. We first met with this, because I had seen you around and you were doing these things with, who would have thought you could do a shuttle out of wood?
Right.
And then you kept adding different kinds of wood, and then, of course, you wrote the book, and we've been following you on that. Right. This journey creates another journey, which yet has now created another journey into the spalted spirits thing. Mm-hmm. Again, what you're going to continue to get? Are you continuing to get feedback as people see this?
Oh, here again, I haven't yet to scratch the surface. The ideas are just coming in all the time. Here again, you just saw a mouse pad that I'm making, and here again, Tyler's using it to embellish his stuff. So, I think the main message for me is this: with the book, of course, opens up the door in the sense that I'll be going to Auburn on the 14th, which is Valentine's Day, to speak to the 8th graders. So it has a generational thing. So I'll be speaking not on Spalted Spirits, but on my book, Remove Before Flight, and they're going to come up with a leadership plan. So that's going very well for us, and that's given us an opportunity to be able to investigate, other avenues and in my woodworking world. Of course, Diane supports me 100%, so I'm always out in the shop with dust on me, but it's endless. It's infinite, and in my older age, there I'm finding it very therapeutic. And I think, here again, I'm not a minister, but I think the message is this. I think as a Christian person that really wants to demonstrate not only my life for others to follow, in a sense of my sons. I love my 2 boys, and I want to be a good example to them. This is a legacy for them that I can pass down. But it is demonstratable of really a God's love, really in the sense, and I'm not a fanatic or anything like that, but I think God has given me a gift of his handwriting through Spalted Spirits to really tell people there is beauty in death and not to be afraid of that. So it helped me out in my older age because I'm pushing 60 and things start to fall apart a little bit.
No,
and
get ready. More stuff's going to fall apart.
Yeah, more stuff's going to come. But, but here again, I think the tangible thing is I think most people have something that they can demonstrate in their Christian walk, and that's their lifestyle. But I think God has given me an extra thing through art to be able to say, hey, this wasn't by mistake. This was by design in some shapes. So.
It's interesting because I'm looking at pieces that are from what you would see as normal tree. A small tree would be about, 1.5, 2 feet.
Right.
But you found really big ones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you found little limbs.
Yeah.
It could be any size.
I'll tell you a funny story real quick. I was recovering from my surgery and I was walking, and my neighbor, he and I are kind of nemesis when it comes to woodworking because he's a woodworker and he's world class. But I think I'm a little bit better. But anyhow, he threw a bunch of sticks out.
I'm not going to get in that war.
Well, I won't get into that. But no, I'm not. I'm being funny. But anyhow, he threw out a bunch of sticks for the trash man. And while I was walking that day, of course, he was at work. I'm retired, so I'm out walking around. While I see all these sticks, and I look at it, and I recognize the fungus. And so I picked them up. It's kind of funny because he threw them out, and I found spirits in the sticks, and I end up turning that pile into $300, and he threw it away. So I turned it into $300 with the Christmas tree ornaments and things like that, and he didn't know what he had. So he today doesn't know. He wanted them back probably if I told him.
There's beauty in death.
Yes.
When you find these logs, it's amazing what Scott is able to come out with here. I mean, it really does. I mean, you look at these images and then you look at them again and there's something different.
And it's infinite. Here again, I'll be making them, with new ones coming on board all the time, and I'll be amazed. I get a moon landing every day.
Spalted Spirits on Facebook and if you want to check the website, it is
www.removebeforeflightbook.com.
Another chapter in your life has opened. Well, I'm kind of anxious to see what's coming next here. Scott, always great seeing you, man.
Thank you, Fred. I appreciate coming on. Thanks.